like to state that progressive Islam is the attempt of some people who claim allegiance and loyalty to Islam to harmonize Islam with modern interpretations of ethics, of secularism, of equality, of freedom, of democracy, of human rights. It's not about meat eating and vegans. It's about these issues. They want to reconcile Islam with these issues, which the United Lands of Veganopolis have deemed to be of utmost importance: freedom and human rights and democracy. And they have preconceived notions. They don't really care what the Quran and Sunnah is telling us to do. No. They are looking at the Quran and Sunnah and trying to figure out how they can read in their views into it. And of course this is problematic, because somebody who claims to be a Muslim, that means he's submitting. Whereas these people are causing the Quran to submit to them. So the progressives are forced to do one of two things. Either reject the text outright. They say this is not from God. And they've been saying this of hadith from day one. With the Quran it's more problematic. And some of them actually have even said this. I have quotes from some of them where they've even said that if this is what you think the Quran says, then it's not possible that that verse can be from God. It's not possible. In any case, some of them, all of them do this with hadith, some of them do the Quran. The other thing that they can do is to say that, well, everybody misunderstood this text. We have to now reinterpret it in a different way. And of course, one of the most hilarious interpretations that the progressives have done is that they are very, very much embarrassed about the hurun ain in Jannah. Very much embarrassed about it. It's like a thing that they are really, it irritates them that our Jannah describes gardens and rivers with hurun ain and so on and so forth, okay? So there's this article now that one of them wrote, and they said that the hurun ain has been misunderstood by Muslims. They translated it as wide-eyed huris, virgins. No. You all had it wrong for 1400 years. These are luscious white grapes. Everybody had it wrong. And there are articles written in journals and papers saying that in reality, hurun ain is a type of fruit. And in response to that, all I can say is, you keep your grapes and leave me with the hurun ain, inshallah. Let's get there first and then worry about what's inside later on. But the second thing they try to do is to, as we said, interpret the text to fit what they want. And frankly, in a ridiculous manner. They try to play some game of hermeneutical gymnastics. What that means is you're distorting the meanings of the text. You're trying to bend and deform the Quran and Sunnah to fit your own preconceived models of what should be right and wrong. And in the process, they make a fool out of themselves from all perspectives. Historical, linguistic, and the basic premises of the religion of Islam. The phenomenon of progressive Islam is not progressive or new in the slightest. There have been numerous groups in the past that felt that the Quran and Sunnah, that our aqidah and fiqh and theology were not compatible with X, Y, and Z. Be it the Mu'tazila with Aristotelian logic, be it this or that with other things, this is nothing new. It's only that for the first time, these issues of women's rights and ethics and morality and freedom and democracy are now being viewed in the light of the Quran and in the Sunnah. But at the end of the day, the problem is still the same. And that is that believing that your own opinion, your own interpretation, your own ethics are more correct than the Quran and the Sunnah. So, to conclude, when we're dealing with such people, it is pointless to get involved in trying to defend orthodoxy in the positions that they're arguing. Don't ever start talking about women should not lead the Jum'ah prayers with a progressive. Waste of time. Rather, with the progressives, you need to go back to the basics of Islam. You need to go back to the foundations. They are viewing the world in a certain way, you are viewing it in a totally different way. And until you guys are viewing the world in the same ways, you're never going to have a decent conversation. We have to understand that if we claim to be a Muslim, that means we submit to what Allah wants. We read the Quran and Sunnah trying to see what Allah is telling us. This is the very meaning of Islam, submission. By definition, a Muslim is one who submits, meaning to the will of Allah. And we don't look at the Quran and Sunnah believing women have to lead Jum'ah. Let me see what I can do to figure out how to get to that conclusion. That goes against the very basics of submission. Progressivism is nothing new. It is not progressive in the slightest. It has been around since the dawn of time. For the very first being who thought that he knew better than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was none other than Iblis. Because when Allah told Iblis to do sajda to Adam, Iblis said, how can he be better than me? It's not possible. I know better. I was created from fire, Iblis from sand. How can I be worse than him? And you all know the fate of Iblis. And you all know the fate of Adam and the pious progeny of Adam. And no doubt I'm not comparing the progressives to Iblis, but I am comparing the methodology. I am comparing the supposition that my opinion has to be right, and what Allah and His Messenger says cannot possibly be right. So realize, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam, that progressivism is nothing new. It's been around since day one. We have two choices. Either we are Muslims or we're not. Which is why, as I said, Salman's choice of rejecting Islam makes more sense. Even though it's kufr, it makes more sense. We can't have it both ways, where I claim to be a Muslim, and then I try to interpret my text to satisfy my desires.